Oh, welcome into the Russ Joy Show. I'm Russ Joy. You figured that out because you're smart. It's also the name of the show. Hello, hi, Heidi ho. So, some of you, many of you perhaps, are wandering over here from Snow the Goalie, the Only Flyers podcast, People's Podcast, Players Podcast, Prognosticators Podcast, Pedialyte Podcast, This Thing Almost Fell Apart Podcast. And you might be wondering to yourself, Russ, why did you tell us that the show was going to be at 2:40 if it wasn't going to start until 2:48? And then the people who are, familiar with the show are pretty locked into the show on a regular basis will tell you it's because I am a filthy stinking liar and I'm almost never on time. But it's not just that. I received a text from Video Guy Amadeo. And Video Guy Amadeo said, hey, hold on a second. I want to see if I can update the thumbnail of the episode to include all 8 of the Eagles captains, because that news, of course, broke during Snow the Goalie. And I said, all right, well, I'll hold off for a little bit. And he literally just sent me a text that said, updated. So now I'm supposed to go and pull a thumbnail, and I'm supposed to update the thumbnail on the stream to include the Eagles' 8 captains. Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6, not 7. 8 captains. Oh, this is a great... Oh, Amadeo has outdone himself. I'm going to show you guys on the stream the original thumbnail for the episode, and then show you the updated thumbnail that I am absolutely going to and now he's texting me. He can, all right, Amadeo, you go ahead and update it. But I want to show people the difference between the original thumbnail of the episode and then we'll call this the version 2 version of the episode thumbnail. And I know this has nothing to do with anything, and most people probably don't care, but I care, damn it. And so I want you to see the difference between what Amadeo did before and what he's done now. So this was the original thumbnail of the episode. Let's get rid of the extra logo here. All right. So this is what the episode thumbnail was supposed to be. And now this is what Video Guy Amadeo has updated it to be. Oh, yeah, that's significantly better. All right. So this is the original one. And then, bang! 8 captains. I love it. That actually does look pretty great. So good job to Video Guy Amadeo, as always. All right, we're back. Now, we have a bunch of stuff to get into. Now, I had a really hard time yesterday, and I'm going to tell you why. I had a really difficult time because in the midst of everything going on in the world of Philadelphia sports, we knew there was a chance that, the Cowboys were going to do something genuinely stupid, and that the Cowboys were somehow going to, blow up their team in the worst of ways by trading Micah Parsons. And the question was, where was he going to end up? Clearly, Jerry Jones, as old and decrepit as he may be, he's not going to trade Micah Parsons within the division to the Philadelphia Eagles. He's not going to cut him and allow Micah Parsons to end up on the Eagles like Saquon Barkley, right? He might be, slipping a little bit, but he ain't slipping that much. And then we found out, Micah Parsons is going to the Packers. And you go, all right, what they got back? They got back a defensive lineman, and they got back 2 first-round picks. And then you go to yourself, all right, well, if Micah Parsons is as good of a player as everyone thinks he is, and as we clearly acknowledge on this show, Micah Parsons is a damn good player, a true, can we go as far as to say generational talent as a pass rusher? I think we probably could. 4 straight years with double-digit sacks. I think it's only him and Reggie White in history that have done that. He's an incredible player in the prime of his career, and then you find out, all right, not only that, he's making $47 million a year on a 4-year contract. Then the word leaks out yesterday that, Jerry Jones thought that he had a $200-ish million, I think it's $202 million deal done and dusted and settled with Micah Parsons without the agent, and it was going to be a 5-year deal. And if you could do simple math, and even if you can't, that's about a 5-year contract around $200 million is around $40 million a year, and instead he's getting $47 million per year on a 4-year contract. Then the word leaks out yesterday as well that apparently Jerry Jones may or may not have said something to Micah Parsons along the lines of, you're going to play out this 5th year on the current deal, or you can go. Or that somebody within the Cowboys organization intimated that to Micah Parsons, which to me is the ultimate bold move. Let's see if it pays off. And obviously it wasn't going to work. There's no chance on this earth that it was ever going to make sense. Why you would threaten your best defensive player, arguably the best player on your team, I don't know. Why you would have paid Dak Prescott the money that you did to bring him back and pay CeeDee Lamb the money that you paid him to bring him back, only to then turn around and trade away a guy that is probably, right, your biggest impact player. And I saw Emmanuel Acho put out a thing yesterday. We're not going to bring it up here today. Sometimes we do the video, sometimes we don't. But Emmanuel Acho had this whole thing where he said, the 3 positions that you care the most about if you're trying to build a team, quarterback is number 1. He said pass rusher is number 2, and then left tackle is number 3. How you trade Micah Parsons at age 26, coming off of 4 consecutive seasons of double-digit sacks, I can't wrap my head around it. And I made the joke yesterday on Twitter, and this is before Jerry Jones even went and met with the media. I want to be very clear. Sometimes I'm ahead of the curve. Sometimes I'm behind the curve. I put out a video yesterday, okay, and I'm actually going to play it here. I put out a video yesterday before Jerry Jones talked to the media, because then I have to play for you what he said to the media. But I put out a video because I was like, oh my God, why would you trade Micah Parsons? Doing that seems really stupid. Trading Micah Parsons for first-round picks is almost like saying, oh, we got picks that we hope are going to become what Micah Parsons was. And again, we're going to get to Jerry Jones in a second. I want to play for you. And I have the timestamp to prove it. I put this video out the same day as the trade. 6:24 p.m. is when it hit Twitter. And I had done it beforehand because I had to use a program to do some of the swift little editing on this. But I want you to see this. I'm going to play this for everybody, okay? See the comparison that I made. And then you probably will notice that there were a lot of accounts that picked up the same kind of verbiage. But here, I don't let it do picture-in-picture of myself. So I'm gonna take myself out of here for a second. This was. So the Cowboys traded Micah Parsons, and all I could think about is how Jerry Jones is now Peter Griffin. That episode of Family Guy where he's presented the boat or the mystery box, and Lois is like, well, we'll take the boat. And Peter goes, no, hold on a second, Lois. A boat's a boat, but a mystery box could be anything. It could be a boat, and you know how much we've always wanted one of those. The Cowboys have always wanted an elite pass rusher. They finally had one. They drafted an elite pass rusher. They developed him into an elite pass rusher. They had the money. They had the ability. He's 26 years old, 4 straight seasons with double-digit sacks. They had the boat, and instead, they've traded him away for nothing. 2 first-round picks and a lineman. What are they doing? In fairness, love Jerry Jones. I hope he never dies. I hope he remains with us for always and ever. Amen. Now, I put that out, and I can't say that I'm the only person on God's green earth who had the thought, okay? But then, I put that video out, and then Jerry Jones goes out and says some of the dumbest shit and, actually reaffirms the joke, and then it set off a long list of memes. It sent off a lot of people doing the memes. But Jerry Jones essentially goes out after I put this clip out. He goes out and meets with the media, and he essentially does the mystery box. He talks about the first-round picks and about how he thinks that the first-round picks are going to ultimately be impact players. Oh, you don't know what you're going to get from those picks. They could end up being really good picks and players for your team. I don't know what Jerry Jones is on. Jerry Jones is on some kind of crazy shit. Boy, oh boy. If you're a Cowboys fan, I don't want to say that I feel bad for Cowboys fans because I don't think I ever will feel bad for Cowboys fans. But Jerry had some really dumb things to say, including the fact that he kept referring to Micah Parsons as Michael Parsons in his press conference. Pretty wild stuff. The fact that they executed this trade on the eve of NFL Week 1. I mean, granted, college football this weekend, NFL next week. The fact that they waited until now to make the move tells me very clearly, and probably should tell all of you very clearly, the Cowboys never had a plan. They must have thought that eventually Micah Parsons was just going to say, yeah, you know what, I'm good to go. Let's do this thing. Let's run this thing back. I'll take that $200 million contract over 5 years. Well, they look dumb as hell now, don't they? I mean, it is an absolute unmitigated disaster if you're a Dallas Cowboys fan. Now, if you're an Eagles fan, you feel pretty good on one hand, right? It's always fun to make fun of your in-divisional rivals, right? You want to watch the NFC East implode. I think everybody thought, all right, if the Cowboys are going to make a move and trade away Micah Parsons, they're at least going to send him to somewhere in the AFC where they're not going to have to, deal with the negative ramifications of dealing one of their most impactful players. And the Cowboys couldn't even get that part right. And so then you think about it and you go, all right, a year ago, the Giants let Saquon Barkley test free agency, right? And there was no chance that there was going to be a clip quite as damning as the one of the Giants GM and the owner, John Mara, saying, if he goes and signs with Philadelphia, I'm not going to be able to sleep at night. I just want to remind people that while all of this is happening, and I hope that there were cameras going. I hope more than just about anything in this world that there were cameras ready for this. In case you forgot, coming this December is Hard Knocks, the in-season Hard Knocks, featuring the NFC East. And so I just want to remind people, in case you forgot, there is a non-zero chance that we are going to see behind the scenes of the Cowboys and Micah Parsons as this happening. Like, if you thought that the Giants thing was damning, how are Cowboys fans going to react if they see Jerry Jones and his son Stephen Jones having these conversations? What are they going to do if Micah Parsons is featured on Hard Knocks, or his agent, or maybe both, talking about what a absolute shit show it was trying to get a new contract from Dallas? I mean, I'm locked in. I am ready to go. But boy, oh boy, that's back-to-back years that you've watched teams within your own division blow up in like actual meaningful relationships, not only with the players, but with their fans as well. I mean, the Giants, remember, when Barkley first left, Giants fans were pissed, but they were kind of more pissed at Barkley for leaving and going to the Eagles. And then over time, when the clip finally came out, they're like, oh my God, the Giants are really that incompetent. Then it kind of feels like it's softened a little bit. Barkley goes on to win a Super Bowl. Giants fans are still mad, but I think the anger in the Giants fan base largely is with the front office now more than Saquon Barkley. If you're a Cowboys fan, how the hell do you feel today? You have to be pretty damn irate. And the worst part is that, like, this has been litigated publicly. Like, the Saquon thing was kind of public. This Micah Parsons thing has been public for a very long time. And there's even a clip that was going around from, I think, around the Super Bowl, sometime around the Super Bowl. Micah Parsons was hosting a live podcast, and he had Jordan Love on. And Parsons, I think, asked Jordan Love about, like, who's a player that you would want to see, like, join your team and take you guys to the next level? And he goes, oh, the guy sitting to my right, talking about Micah Parsons. And, like, it ended up happening. Now, the reason that I say it's great to laugh at NFC East teams for their incompetence, and we can almost, we were this close to getting to include, by the way, the Washington Commanders, who had Terry McLaurin pretty much asking for a trade and holding out. They came this close to, like, maybe blowing up that relationship and kind of crippling their quarterback entering his second year by not having his number one option available. They managed to skirt this. The reason that you can't take a full victory lap the same way is that Micah Parsons ends up in the NFC, and he doesn't end up with a bottom-feeding NFC team. He ends up with the Green Bay Packers, who, depending on how you actually felt about the Packers, right? And if you thought the Packers were a legitimate threat in the NFC, this certainly has to make them as close to a threat as you're going to find within the conference. I think that a lot of teams, or a lot of people would probably say, team-wise, the Packers are up there. If Jaden Daniels has a good second season, the Commanders are going to be a tough out in the NFC East in the same division as the Eagles. You would think that the Lions are probably going to be there as well. Remember, Mike Tannenbaum the other day had the ridiculous point where he didn't even include the Eagles in the top three in the conference. I've got to think that the Packers are a legitimate threat. And you would think that just about everybody would think that the Packers are probably a legitimate threat in the NFC. But oddly enough, a guy who, like, yesterday was kind of poo-pooing on Jalen Hurts and his credentials and, you know, whether or not he deserves criticism, Cam Newton today ended up on First Take. And I have to play this because Cam Newton kind of did like a 180 in a way that, like, I don't know how you rationalize it. Yesterday, he's talking about how Jalen Hurts has to, like, prove himself for a few more years before he can be considered elite or be considered like one of those go-to guys. And then today, Cam Newton goes on to First Take, and it is truly a change of tone about the Philadelphia Eagles in a sense. When asked about whether or not Micah Parsons now makes the Packers the biggest threat to the Eagles in the NFC, Cam Newton had this to say.
I don't even think that they're the best team in their division. They're not better than Detroit, even after this Micah Parsons pick. They're not.
He's talking about the Packers, by the way, just for context. I think everybody saw that on the screen, but if you're listening in the podcast feed, he's saying that the Packers aren't even the best team in their own division. Okay.
Better than Detroit, and you can't say with a straight face that they are. You're not willing to take Detroit Lions over the Green Bay Packers. So for me, yes, are the Green Bay Packers the youngest team or one of the youngest teams in the NFL? Absolutely. Is Micah
I'm going to love to see how he's going to wiggle out of this one. All right, keep going, Cam.
Parsons still a young player? Absolutely. These are things
26.
that you can grow.
Look at Orlovsky. Do you remember the other day? We played this on Wednesday, right, when Mike Tannenbaum was saying about, Eagles not being a top 3 team in the conference, and Stephen A. Smith kind of made this exact face. And then Adam Schefter kind of made this exact face looking at Stephen A. Smith to rebut Mike Tannenbaum. Something's going on over at ESPN. Look at Orlovsky is just, woo!
And build upon. But when you're saying they're instant Super Bowl contenders, no, not so fast. Oh, I'm not going for that. Now, one truth that you did say, within the next 3 years, absolutely. You have, all type of combinations.
All right, so he thinks that the Packers are a longer-term threat in the NFC, but not an immediate threat to the Eagles. I don't necessarily agree that they're not a threat right now. I definitely think they're set up well for the future. They've got a young team.
Of young players and young talent, and you can go out and do whatever you necessarily need to do, but they still have to perform. I'm not looking at Green Bay as a threat to Philly when Green Bay is not even a true threat, or they have to go through Detroit to be a threat to Philly.
Okay, that was a whole lot of words, and I don't really think he said a lot there. Let's try to distill Cam Newton's take on this whole thing. He thinks that Detroit is so much better than Green Bay that Detroit would ultimately be the team that would run into the Eagles, presumably in the NFC Championship, or they'd be the ones that would ultimately be the biggest threat. Like, he thinks that Detroit is a significantly better team right now, maybe not long-term, but this season. And as long as Detroit stands in the way, Green Bay can't be as big of a threat to the Eagles. Okay. I guess if you frame it like that, it could be true, but seeding and the way that works in the NFC and going into the playoffs might not kind of fit that narrative, right? Like, Detroit could end up having an injury that costs them a few games, and then they end up being a lower seeded team and they run into the Eagles earlier in the playoffs and they're fully healthy, and then you go, oh, that's a tough one. It's not as if the playoffs are only made up of the division leaders or the division winners. The wild card also exists. I don't totally follow Cam Newton's line of thinking there. I'm not sure anybody actually does. Now, I do want to go really quickly to one other fun thing that happened around the Micah Parsons trade, and then we're going to get back to actual Philadelphia stuff. Michael Irvin. Michael Irvin was on NFL Live literally a minute before the trade got announced. Okay, 1 minute before the trade got announced. And Michael Irvin was asked about whether or not the Cowboys would trade Micah Parsons and what was going to ultimately happen, okay? And we have to go to this because, again, this literally happened 1 minute before the trade went down. There is a timestamp on it and everything. 1 minute before Micah Parsons got traded, ESPN threw to Michael Irvin, who said there is no chance that the Cowboys trade Micah Parsons. Again, this happened literally 1 minute beforehand. Let me skip to the very end because that's the pertinent part here.
Going anywhere. Jerry's not that dumb. But I guarantee Michael Parsons not going anywhere. Jerry's not that crazy. This is all what we call just negotiation stuff.
Micah Parsons going nowhere. Jerry's not that crazy. This is all negotiating stuff. That happened literally 1 minute before the trade got announced that Micah Parsons was getting sent to Green Bay. And then, in the aftermath, Michael Irvin went to Twitter and he put out this reaction video about himself saying what he said about Micah Parsons. And this is a dejected man. Let's just go out real quick. This is Michael Irvin minutes after the Parsons trade went through.
Oh my God, I can't believe this, man. I've been here all day. I can't believe this. I cannot believe we just traded Micah Parsons.
So that is the duality of man. You have a very, very confident Michael Irvin. This is just negotiating tactics. They're not trading Micah Parsons. Jerry's not that crazy. A minute later, the trade goes down. A few minutes later, he puts that out on Twitter. That's brutal. I've seen all kinds of Cowboys fans, whether they played for the team, people who are lifelong Cowboys fans, losing their minds. There was a ridiculous take that came out of Dallas radio. I mean, you should not be surprised right? That there were some pretty crazy reactions to things. But there was a guy out on a Dallas radio station who threw out this whole thing about how the Cowboys are actually better off without Micah Parsons. We're going to throw to that really quick because, again, I want to feel bad for Cowboys fans at least a little bit because I'm a good human being. And Dallas has gone through a lot, first with Luka Doncic and now with Micah Parsons. But this is what radio people now it's important to note, they said that they're the station that carries the Cowboys games, which probably explains it. But this was Dallas radio right after the trade went down.
I don't give a damn about Micah Parsons. He's the enemy now. Week 4 just became the biggest game in the NFL season. Packers at Cowboys, AT&T Stadium.
Revenge
you can hear
game.
it right here on your home of Dallas Cowboys football, 105.3 The Fan. But
now, can we say that this is objective? Can we say that this Dallas radio host on the station that has the rights to the Dallas Cowboys game is going to be objective? No. Not saying that Micah Parsons is now the enemy? Okay. Let's keep going.
what did the Cowboys get? Is it just the 2 ones? Is there a player that we don't know about yet? And I think I would have tried to push this thing for more, but the Cowboys clearly were saying, screw this. We want to get rid of this guy. This isn't going to work for us.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. All right. Just see if you can wrap this up. Let's see. Can you finish the thought?
Just blown away and stunned that they actually did this. I did not think we would live in a world where Jerry and Steven would move a player of the status of a Micah Parsons. And
is he a good player?
I would like to applaud them for doing so.
Yes, I'll join you in
I
that
think
applause.
big picture,
Yeah.
this is great for the organization.
I agree with you.
Get the fuck out. Hold on a second. Ray-Rack, hold on. Now, it is one thing to be a radio host in a market where you're talking about one of the teams and you don't want to get the ire of the fan base. It's another thing to work at the station that has the rights to the games. It's another thing to say, hey, this 26-year-old in his prime pass rusher, one of the best defensive players in the entire NFL, it's actually a good thing. It's a good thing. I can't believe that Jerry and Steven traded him, but this is good for the Dallas Cowboys. All right, let's listen to it again.
And I would like to applaud them for doing so.
Yes, I'll join.
And I would like to applaud them for doing so. Okay, let's keep going. Yeah.
I think big picture, this is great for the organization.
Big picture, it's good for the organization. Again, I would like to take us back to the mystery box with Peter Griffin. You can have the mystery box, or you can have an elite pass rusher. Mystery box, elite pass rusher. Lois, your thoughts? We'll take the pass rusher. Now, hold on a second, Lois. The mystery box could be anything. An elite pass rusher is an elite pass rusher. But a mystery box could be anything. It could be an elite pass rusher. And you know how much we've always wanted one of those. What the hell is going on in Dallas? This is lunacy. Absolute lunacy. And then you have radio hosts in that market. They're like, I'd like to commend Jerry and Stephen Jones. This is actually going to be good for the team in the long run. No, it's not, you dope, you dolt, you spoon. Did you know that some people in the UK call people a spoon? And you call them a spoon because you can't trust them with a fork or a knife? That guy, great beard. You know what? We're going to give this guy credit. I don't know his name. We're going to give him credit. Really nice beard. Okay, this guy, top left dude. Great beard. Nice follicle coverage on the lower jaw area right here. But the Cowboys are actually going to be better off in the future. This is actually good for... Get the fuck... What are we doing? What are we doing? Come on, man. I don't even like the Cowboys. That's like, come on. You're not better off. That was almost as stupid as when the Mavs traded Luka Doncic, and you had some Mavs people that were like, oh, yeah, this is actually going to be good. You know, Luka Doncic was getting chubby, and he liked to drink, and he smoked cigarettes, and he's just not a healthy guy. It's going to be better with Anthony Davis, who can't stay healthy, but yeah, it's going to be better. Yeah, what are we doing? Come on, guys. Insane. Connor Allen here, by the way, is right. It's a $60 million a season to Dakota, to Dak Prescott. Thank you, Jerry. This is crazy. Absolutely crazy stuff. Lunacy. I don't get it. And this, Peter Tom Willis is also right, late firsts or early seconds in a lot of drafts. If Micah Parsons is as good as we all think he is, and that the Cowboys had to admit that he was, like, if the Cowboys were going to offer him $200 million over 5 years, they thought he was a really good player. If he's that good, then these picks that are going to the Cowboys from the Packers, they're not going to be good first-round picks. They're not top 10. They're not top 15. These are like end of the first-round picks. Holy shit. Can you imagine? I need people to let me know in the comments. Like, who is the person that Philadelphia would have to trade to get this kind of reaction? And then who's the person going on the radio to say, this is actually good news. This is actually a great bit of business by the Philadelphia blank. Like, if the Sixers were to trade Tyrese Maxey, I'd be upset. Is Tyrese Maxey at the same level that Micah Parsons was to the Cowboys? No. If the Flyers traded Matvei Mishkov, is he currently at the same level that Micah Parsons is now for the Cowboys? No. Who on the Eagles? Who's the guy on the Eagles? Quinyon Mitchell? No. Cooper DeJean? No. Jalen Carter? Not as good of a comp. Jalen Carter, very, very good. I don't know if we would say has the body of work yet of a Micah Parsons. Okay, Jalen Carter, I can maybe kind of set off to the side and say there's something there. Offensively, if he traded Jalen Hurts, it'd be really stupid. But is Jalen Hurts unanimously viewed as a guy who's like top 3 at his position or impact player? No, we've done how many freaking shows talking about the fact that like the NFL top 100 has him at 19, and there are people who put him at like 7 or 8 or 9. Like, who's the guy? Devontae Smith? Not the same body of work. I don't know if there's anybody. I don't know. Is there anybody that Philadelphia could even trade right now as an like any of the teams that would be at the same level? I don't think so. Who would be the person that would be like, oh, this is a good bit of business. Good bit of business here for Philadelphia. That is insane. Now, all of this in mind, is it good news for the Eagles that Micah Parsons is out of the NFC East? Yes, it effectively takes the Cowboys out of being any kind of a threat. Not that I thought they were before, but it takes them out of being a threat. And we know that the Giants aren't a threat. So you have the Commanders and you have the Eagles. It's a 2-team race in the NFC East, and in theory, you should be able to beat up on the Giants and beat up on the Cowboys enough that, like, even if something goes wrong, there's an injury, something doesn't go to plan, that you're very much in contention for a wild card spot. Does it help to have an even better team in the NFC North? Not necessarily. The idea there maybe is that you're going to have the Packers and the Lions in an absolute dogfight. Those teams are going to batter and bludgeon one another, and that maybe it makes the path to winning the NFC North more difficult. You're worn out, and maybe you don't perform as well in the playoffs. I don't know. It's a weird spot to be in. Poor Dallas fans, man. I know we don't want to feel bad for Dallas, but like kind of poor Dallas fans. Luka Doncic, Micah Parsons. If Mikko Rantanen had left or they had to trade like Jake Ottinger from the Stars, I don't know if Dallas would have recovered. Okay, so that's that part. Now, I do want to talk really quickly about something that happened with the Philadelphia Eagles. It's not going to be a very long point because how could it be? But the Eagles named their captains today. And they didn't just name one, they didn't just name two. They named 8 captains. I don't know how you end up with 8 captains. It seems kind of wild to me. But they ended up with 8 captains on their team. And so I think it's probably fair for us to take a real quick look and see if we can figure out how and why the Eagles decided to make 8 dudes captains on the team. I mean, mind you, it's a 53-man roster. 8 of the guys, 8 of the 53 are captains. That's a pretty high percentage, Cotton. 15% of the team being captains. It's pretty bold. So, of course, you have Jalen Hurts. You would expect that. Lane Johnson, I would absolutely expect. Great veteran presence. Saquon Barkley is a captain. Hell yeah, why not? Jordan Mailata. We are big fans of Jordan Mailata on this show. Love him being a captain. A.J. Brown. Boy, does that put some of the thought to rest. Some of the arguments to rest. Does A.J. Brown really want to be here? Does A.J. Brown actually like being a Philadelphia Eagle? 610. All right, well, A.J. Brown, a captain. Clearly not a guy that the locker room hates. You have Reed Blankenship in the secondary. Well-liked guy. That makes sense. Zach Bond coming on off an all-pro year and a big contract this offseason. He's a captain. Jake Elliott, baby. Jake Elliott. Name a captain as well. 8 dudes, captains on the team. Now, do I think that's excessive? Maybe a little. I mean, that seems like a lot, right? That does seem like a lot. And then the question is like, did anybody feel slighted is there anybody else who wanted to be a captain that wasn't named a captain? Like, I know that Ford is joking here, but he says, like, Devontae Smith disrespect, he's not a captain, 610632. Is there anybody that, like, was left off of this list that you would have expected? If there are going to be 8 captains, is there anybody that should have been a captain that wasn't named one? I don't think so. I think this is probably fair. I would expect that this group is going to change over time, right? Like, if this team stays healthy and all their players continue to develop the way that you want, you'd think maybe a Quinyon Mitchell could get a look at some point. Could a Devontae Smith be a future captain? Maybe. Pretty wild, though. Like 8 captains, that's a lot. 15% of the roster is a captain. Good for them. All right, now, I have 2 things that I want to get to off of football, and then we're going to head out for the weekend. Obviously, the biggest story on Action News last night, Kyle Schwarber goes absolutely bananagrams. Hits not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 home runs in the same game. He had he had as many home runs as half of the new Eagles captains. 4 home runs in the same game. And you might think to yourself, that seems pretty crazy. I can't imagine anybody's ever hit 5. They haven't. You go, all right, 4 home runs in a game. How often does it happen? Well, oddly enough, 2025 has kind of been the year of the 4 home run game. Since 2000, this is the first time since 2000 that 3 different players have hit 4 home runs in the same season. Let me pull the graphic up here for you a little bit, okay? There was actually an 8-year gap from before 2025 since there had been a 4 home run game in a season. And that year, Scooter Gennett and J.D. Martinez both hit 4 home runs in a game in 2017. Here is the entire list. This is since 2000. Since 2000, these are all of the players that have hit 4 home runs in a single game. It is a very small list. Josh Hamilton. Got to remember back to Josh Hamilton as a Texas Ranger, mashing. J.D. Martinez had a hell of a lot of power. Carlos Delgado, hard to forget Delgado. Not a lot of players have hit 4 home runs in the same game. Kyle Schwarber did it, and he did it in an impressive fashion. And, like, it would have been something if he had somehow hit for the home run cycle. All he needed was the grand slam coming up. But only 2 men were on base. And so Schwarber only hit a second 3-run home run, had 9 RBI in the game. It is the most RBI in a single game for any player in Phillies history. And by virtue of hitting 4 games in the series opener against the Braves, he is now on track for 59 home runs, which, of course, would break the Phillies' all-time single-season record set by Ryan Howard, who hit 58. It looked like after the Mets series, we had to be honest here, earlier this week, Kyle Schwarber had a terrible series against the Mets in New York. Kyle Schwarber has not looked like himself. He was up to, 16 at-bats, I think, going into the series finale without a hit. It was rough. That series against the Mets was horrific. And there were legitimate concerns about, like, were the Phillies going to be able to bounce back? Would the Phillies be able to kind of put things together and get their heads back on straight at home against the Braves in a 4-game set? You had Aaron Nola on the mound last night. Typically, you get to, like, the 4th inning or maybe the 5th inning, and Aaron Nola blows up. Instead, last night, he gets tagged for 3 runs in the 1st inning, and you start going, oh, shit, this is bad. The Phillies just got swept in New York. Aaron Nola's on the mound. He gets hit up for 3 runs. You start feeling like, oh, this is going to go really poorly, and then the Phillies just turn it on. I mean, the floodgates open, home runs galore. You get multiple second-deck home runs, including to right field and left field. An absolutely amazing display of power by the Phillies lineup, and it takes a lot of the sour taste out of your mouth about the Mets series. Now, it doesn't make everything go away. It doesn't make you feel vindicated, I guess. It doesn't make the Phillies feel like they should be absolved of the sins that they committed in New York by not being able to do a damn thing at the plate or to be able to put together, honestly, many good pitching performances. But the lineup showed up in a big way against the Braves. Obviously, the hope is that they're going to carry that momentum into the weekend. The Braves are out of it in the NL East. You got to make sure that you can show that that Mets series was just an aberration, and now going forward, you're going to go back to being that team that looked like it was going to comfortably coast to the NL East title. We'll see if it happens. There was another interesting thing that happened after the game, and it did include Kyle Schwarber. And I saw a breakdown of this, but this I think was the best image anybody got. Tim Kelly from over on Pattison got this image. So apparently it was negotiated like a good while ago that Kyle Schwarber was going to go on the show Abbott Elementary. And it was planned for last night. I guess a long time ago. They planned for this to be the day that they were going to like bring him on, I guess like from on the field. So Kyle Schwarber hits 4 home runs last night. And then after the game, I know it's kind of hard to see here, but like after the game, Kyle Schwarber is on the field with the cast of Abbott Elementary and the Philly Fanatic, and they must have filmed some kind of scene. So now Kyle Schwarber is going to be on Abbott Elementary, and what a freaking game for him to be coming off of to then go and make this appearance on a TV show. That's pretty cool. That's a lot of fun. Now, obviously, after Kyle Schwarber goes out and hits 4 home runs in a game, people start going, oh, the Phillies got to pay this man. I got to be honest with you. I'm legitimately concerned that they're not going to re-sign Kyle Schwarber. And it's not going to be because the Phillies are going to not make him a competitive offer. I'm standing very much behind my belief that there is a legitimate chance that the Phillies really pissed off Kyle Schwarber and his team. And that like they might have felt disrespected with the number that they were being offered. I hope I'm wrong. I hope that ultimately Kyle Schwarber signs here on a nice multi-year contract, making a boatload of money, and that this isn't just like a one-off ridiculous season. I don't expect him to hit 40-plus home runs every year or drive in 100-plus RBI every year. I certainly don't expect that. But, man, this guy just seems to fit. He fits the city. He fits the mental makeup. He's one of the most consistent players you've had in years. He's a guy that actually lived up to the free agent hype and the billing, has exceeded expectations, is on track to break the single-season home run record for the Philadelphia Phillies. Like, what are we doing here? I get that they're not going to get to a contract between now and the end of the season. But, man, please don't screw this up. Like, just get the deal done. John Middleton, please, just get the deal done. Get a good contract put together for this guy. He's good for the organization. Fans like him. Yeah, you got Reed DeFord over here saying MVP, MVP. I mean, there's a compelling case. Now, coming out of the Mets series, there might not have been a compelling case, but 4 home runs in a single game will change a lot of things. Landros is pitching 4 years, $150 million. Well, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. Is it worth $150 million over 4 years? It's a lot of money. I guess we'll see. AJ checks in. Says, is anyone really surprised that the Feast or Famine lineup put up big numbers after getting embarrassed by the Mets? Yeah, I actually am. I think a lot of people were surprised that the Phillies were able to put up those numbers against the Braves. They looked like they couldn't hit a damn thing in New York, so the fact that they were able to turn it around and put up double-digit runs convincingly, almost put up a 20 spot, and like Kyle Schwarber, if he's facing an actual pitcher in that 8th inning at-bat, does he hit a 5th? I don't know. He pops out. Position players pitching at that point. Whatever. Very interesting stuff. We'll go into the weekend. Let's see. Ford with a good question. But again, can we take their 19 runs and spread those out over 4 games? You know, if the bats go quiet the rest of the weekend, well, then all of the fun and the ballyhoo about the 4 home run game kind of goes away. And then we start next week and we'll feel bad again. Now, last thing I want to get to is something that we did talk about over on Snow the Goalie very briefly. It's a neat thing that's happening over at State College, over in Happy Valley, which they're now going to rename Hockey Valley. But there is going to be a college hockey game played at Beaver Stadium in January. And it is one of the biggest missed opportunities in recent memory that the Flyers and the Penguins didn't get this game first. And the NHL never got an outdoor series game, a stadium series game, or a winter classic played at Beaver Stadium. But this is like the coolest thing that I think could have happened, at least for college hockey. Big East. You have Penn State taking on Michigan State at Beaver Stadium. And we're going to fast forward here a little bit. They're playing it outside Beaver Stadium, January 31st, 2026. They're calling it Hockey Valley. So you're going to have Penn State versus Michigan State, which means Penn State's going to be led by Gavin McKenna. You're going to have Flyers prospect Porter Martone leading the charge for Michigan State. It's going to happen, you would assume, on a national stage. It's going to be awesome. I have to imagine that the atmosphere around Penn State, Michigan State at Beaver Stadium is going to be absolutely crazy. I'm looking forward to it. I assume that hockey fans are looking forward to it. I have to assume that just in general, Penn State and Michigan State alumni and current students are probably very excited about the prospect of it. Even if you don't like hockey, the idea of putting a Big Ten rivalry together in that football stadium and playing a hockey game, which, by the way, has two of the top prospects in the NHL, or soon to be in the NHL, in McKenna and Martone, it's pretty cool. It's a neat thing. Really neat opportunity. And that's where we're going to end the show for today. I'll be back on Monday. We might have a guest next Wednesday. We did our first Wednesday with this week, had Anthony Sanfilippo on. We'll see how the Phillies are doing coming off of a 4-game set. We'll see if anybody else in the NFC East does anything crazy like trade one of their best players. We'll see if there's any update. You know, we did a full Snow the Goalie today, talking about the Flyers goalie situation, about an update about Tyson Forster, so you can go check that out over on the Snow the Goalie YouTube channel or wherever you get your podcasts. You can go check out a new episode of Phightin Words with Anthony Sanfilippo and Bob Wankel, part of the Joy Media Network. You could go find that on the Joy Media account channel or on the Phightin Words YouTube channel or wherever you get your podcasts there. There's a whole lot of stuff to take in, a whole lot of good content to get you through the weekend, and we'll be back here on Monday. In the meantime, like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you get notified whenever we go live with an episode. Please subscribe, if you can, over in a podcast feed on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, Amazon Music, or wherever you get your podcasts. Until Monday, this has been the Russ Joy Show. I've been Russ Joy, but you knew that already because you're smart. It's also the name of the show. Talk to all of you, I guess, on Labor Day here on the Russ Joy Show.